Hey guys, big welcome to our Utah Jazz 94-95 season replay. We're going back in time, trying to change history, see if we can bring a title to Stockton and Malone and the Utah Jazz organization. Let's take a look at the standings as we start off here. We have played 57 games so far this season. We sit at 30-27. Last time we checked the standings, we were the 8 seed. We have moved up a spot to the 7 seed. And we would be playing the Houston Rockets if the playoffs were to start today. That's a matchup we don't want to see until later rounds of the playoffs if we can help it. The Rockets are the defending champs from the 1994 season. They beat the New York Knicks. And right now the Spurs hold down the number 1 spot, the Rockets 2, and the Suns the 3 spot in the Western Conference. Let's flip it over. Look at the Eastern Conference. We have the Heat at the number 1 spot. The Charlotte Hornets right behind them, half a game back at 40-18. The Hawks in 3rd. Knicks in 4th. Pacers in 5th. The Pistons in 6th. The Milwaukee Bucks would be 7th, and the Sixers would be 8th. The Magic and the Bulls, as we have discussed earlier episodes, have struggled with some injuries, and they are lagging back there. 2 teams that we would have expected to make the playoffs when the season started may not be there at season's end. All right, let's get into the first game. We're going to get through 7 games in this episode, starting with game number 58 on the road at Tacoma Dome, take on the Seattle Supersonics. And let's pick up the highlights here in the 3rd quarter. Jazz leading 60-42. Hershey Hawkins around the Sean Kemp screen, and he pulls up and hits the 3. That cuts the Jazz lead to 15. Jazz get it back out to 19 now with 10 minutes to go in the 3rd. Stockton on the right side. He's picked up there by Gary Payton. Stockton to the left. He'll back it out a little bit, get it over to Karl Malone down the paint, and he scores over Scheffler. And now we are into the 4th quarter. Jazz 97, Sonics 70. 9:46 to go in the game. This is Nate McMillan guarded by Hornacek. McMillan over to the left corner. Gary Payton lines up the 3, knocks it down. It is still a huge lead for the Jazz. Sonics cut into it a little bit though. 13-point lead. Delaney Rudd going against Gary Payton. Rudd trying to get to the lane, can't do it. Gets it back out to Brian Russell on the left elbow extended down to the high post to Antoine Carr. Big Dog holds over to Hornacek. Hornacek's going to go baseline, reverse it up and in with the left hand. And the Jazz lead by 15. 101-92 now with 2:22 to go. It's a 9-point game. Stockton down on the block to Tag. Tag back out to Brian Russell. Russell gets it down to Karl Malone. Malone holding with Sean Kemp on his back. We've had some epic games with the Sonics. I think both games we've played so far this season have been 1-point wins. And this time the Sonics take it away from Malone. Here's Gary Payton. Payton try to float it over Oster. Tag with the rejection. Stockton now taken away by Steve Scheffler. Gary Payton has it. Guarded by Stockton. Gary Payton down the lane. Sean Kemp dunks it home. I'm talking a little bit quieter in this episode because my little baby girl's asleep and I don't want to wake her up. So bear with me if it doesn't quite sound the same. Here is Stockton guarded by Gary Payton. Stock around the screen from Malone. Free throw line jumper is good by Karl Malone. And the Jazz lead by 9 with just over a minute to go. Stockton guarded by the glove. Stockton behind the back dribble. Stockton drives, dumps it over to Karl Malone. Baseline jumper from 15. No, rebounded by Tag. And Tag goes back up and in. Jazz go on to win this one, 109-95. Biggest margin of victory against the Sonics for either team. We won the first game by 1 on a buzzer beater by Jeff Hornacek. I think that was episode 6, if you want to check that out. And game number 2 against the Sonics, they won by 1 in a game that they came back from way behind and got the win. So 50 points in the paint for the Sonics, 40 for us. Hershey Hawkins had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal for the former Sixer. Howard Isley, 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists for the Jazz. We'll spotlight him in this win over the Sonics. All right, that's the first of 7 games we're going to get to this episode. Not all of them will have highlights, but we do have highlights here of the Dallas Mavericks and the Jazz in game number 59. We sit at 31-27, 4 games above 500. The Mavericks are right behind us in the standings. They're 2 games above 500. And we start this one off in the first quarter. John Stockton guarded by Jason Kidd. Over to the right side to Jeff Hornacek. He's guarded by Jim Jackson. Down on the block to Karl Malone. Malone holding, whips it over his shoulder to Hornacek. Jackknife it up and in on Jim Jackson for the bucket. And we move a little further ahead into the second quarter. Mavericks leading by 15. Jason Kidd on the right angle, guarded by Stockton. Stockton sags off of him too much. Kidd takes the shot. No, rebounded by Mashburn, and Monster Mash back up and in with the finger roll. And we have struggled with the Mavericks this year. 40-23 lead for Dallas. 8:20 to go in the second quarter. Here's Stockton to Hornacek. Lay it up and in with the left hand going down the lane. Off of the screen from Ostertag. 48-38 now. Jazz will cut the lead to 10 with 2:56 to go. We're trying to chip into that. Jason Kidd over to the left side to Brad Davis. Brad Davis against Hornacek. Brad Davis to his left. Into the trees. Jackknife it up and in amongst the tall timber. 62-56. Mavericks leading by 6. Over into the corner. Jim Jackson 3. Corner shot. Good. 90-86 now. We're into the fourth quarter. Jazz have come back, trailing only by 4. Here's John Crotty. 7.5 minutes to go. He goes around the screen from Foster. Foster pump fakes, has a strip by Jason Kidd. And here comes Jamal Mashburn. Mashburn through the legs, down to Kidd. Kidd floats, hang it up and in with the left hand. Beautiful shot by Jason Kidd. Mavericks lead by 4 with 5:20 to go in the game. This is Jim Jackson, right side guarded by Hornacek. He hands it off to Kidd. Kidd around the screen. Stops, pops, hits. 6-point lead for the Mavericks. We're all tied up at 100 now. 2:45 to go. Jazz have come all the way back to tie it. Left side, Brian Russell. Guarded by Mashburn. Over to Stockton. Stockton looks at the 3, doesn't take it. Back to Hornacek. Hornacek's going to drive, whip it over to Karl Malone. Baseline jumper is good by the mailman over Popeye Jones. 102-100. Jazz with the lead. Now we're all tied up at 102. Just over 2 minutes to go. Stockton yo-yos right side over to Russell at the top of the key. B. Russ behind the back dribble, drops it to the high post to Karl Malone. Malone working on Popeye Jones. He's doubled. Back to Brian Russell. Shot no. Rebounded by Tag. And Tag is going to go back up and lay it in. Jazz have the lead. 104-102 with a minute 50 to go. We're just going to keep it here. Jason Kidd brings it the other way against Stockton. Kidd down the lane. Floated up and in off the glass. We're all tied up again. Jazz now with a 4-point lead. 47.8 seconds. Jim Jackson double pump. Shoots the 3. No. Rebounded by Stockton. Stockton's going to get it ahead to Hornacek coming down the right sideline. Hornacek to Brian Russell, who's all alone, and he's going to dunk it. And the Jazz looked like the Mavericks may have been trying to foul there. I don't know what they were doing. But the Jazz are going to go on to win 119-111. A huge comeback for Utah. Down by double digits for most of the game. In game number 59. We go 24 of 24 at the free throw line, 100%, 68 points in the paint to 62. Their bench outscores us by 8. Jason Kidd, 21 points, a rebound, 7 assists, and 2 steals. And Big Greg Ostertag bringing a spotlight here with 8 points and 19 rebounds, controlling the glass. A couple of blocks in there as well for Ostertag. And the Jazz come away with the win. So 2 games out of 5. Here is the third one. Game number 60, we host the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 9-53, worst record in the Western Conference. And we will not have highlights of this one. An easy win for the Jazz, 116-92. Fourth game of this episode, we are sitting at 33-27, and we are facing the Denver Nuggets, who are 38-22, ahead of us in the standings. Here is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, guarded by Stockton. Early in the first quarter, Jazz lead 8-4. Antonio McDyess, guarded by Tag. McDyess turn around, fall away from the baseline, around the rim, off the glass, and in. This is a possible 4-5 playoff matchup. So maybe a precursor to the first round of the playoffs coming up here shortly. Karl Malone from 15, shot good. And the Jazz lead by 7. 35-21 lead now for the Jazz. On the road at McNichols Arena in Denver. Winston Garland, guarded by John Crotty. Winston Garland down the lane to Cadillac Anderson. And Cadillac dunks at home. 46-36. 5 minutes to go in the second. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf down to McDyess. McDyess pivots on Ostertag. Tag, a big wall standing there. Stith now around the screen. Guarded by Hornacek. Bryant Stith will back it out. He's going to be forced to shoot a desperation 3. No, it's tipped around. Back out to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and his 3 rattles home. And the Jazz lead cut to 7. Now it's a 9-point game. Start of the second half. This is Sarunas Marciulionis, former Warrior, hands it to Ellis. Over to the right side to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He whips it underneath to Lafonso Ellis, and he throws it down on the mailman's head. What a dunk by Lafonso Ellis. 60-58, Jazz with a 2-point lead. This is Brooks holding on the left side. I don't remember a Brooks. Here is Todd Lichty now. Lichty guarded by Hornacek, over left side to Winston Garland. Stockton jumps for no reason. Bounce pass over to Lafonso Ellis. Shot no. Rebounded by John Stockton. Stockton to the middle, crosses the timeline. Jazz runs. Stockton to Karl Malone. Lay it up with the left or right hand. On the left side of the hoop. 69-64 Jazz. 5-point lead. 4:40 to go. In quarter number 3, this is John Crotty. John Crotty looking to get around to Greg Foster's screen. He's guarded by Bryant Stitz. Back to Foster. Foster tees up a 3 from the left angle. It's good, and the Jazz lead by 8. Now a 7-point game. 6:37 to go. Sarunas Marciulionis guarded by Hornacek. Marciulionis down the right side. Nothing there. Back to McDyess. McDyess shot. Tag contested. No. Rebounded by Stockton. He's going to come down and run with it. Stockton across the timeline. Stockton veers right. Waiting for the mailman to come set the screen. Stockton doesn't use it to Karl Malone. Karl Malone jackknife it up and in. Score it, count it. He's fouled. 94-85, and Malone will get a free throw here with 6:16 to go. Give the Jazz a 10-point lead. He's got it. And now with a minute 20 to go, the Nuggets have cut it down to 4. Hornacek guarded by Marciulionis over to Stockton. Stockton guarded by Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Stockton drives off the glass, no, rebounded by Lafonso Ellis, and here come the Nuggets. Minute 10 to go, down by 4. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, left side, guarded by Stockton. Abdul-Rauf steps back, nothing there. He's going to try to take Stockton one-on-one. Pump face, gets Stockton in the air, dishes it over to the left side to Lafonso Ellis. Ellis to Williams, back to Marciulionis. Marciulionis back to Williams, contested 3 is good. 103-102, Jazz lead, 50 seconds to go. Stockton into the front court, behind the back dribble. Over to the left side to Brian Russell. Russell looks down on the block to Malone. Malone holding, he is guarded there by Lafonso Ellis, I believe. Back to Stockton, 8 seconds on the shot clock. Stockton drives, puts his shoulder down, over to Malone. Malone's going to go into the lane, reverse pivot, and it is good off the glass. Karl Malone hits it, it's a 3-point game. Jazz go on to win 108-104 in game number 61. So far we've won every game in this episode. Crazy. Here in game number 61, a 108-104 victory, where we shoot 54% from the field, 44%, 7 of 16 from downtown for us, 15 of 18 from the free throw line. Karl Malone with 35 points and 16 rebounds, 1 steal and 2 blocks. Antonio McDyess for the Nuggets, 29 points, 18 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. So that is a possible playoff precursor. A lot of things could change between now and then, but that's among the possibilities right there. Milwaukee Bucks and the Jazz in game number 62. They are 35-27. We're 34-27, and we run away with the win at the Delta Center, 121-98. Next up is game 63, another matchup with the 9-55 Clippers. And we are 35-27. We get the win, improves us to 36-27. We got a nice little winning streak going. 112-95. Finally, final game of this episode, game number 64. We are 36-27 playing the hapless Celtics. And we come away by the skin of our teeth with a win over Boston, 95-90. So we're going to finish off this episode 10 games above 500. And we got that winning streak we have so desperately needed to put some separation between the 500 mark and maybe compete for a top 4 spot in the Western Conference. So that is it for Utah Jazz 94-95 season replay here on the Moldy Cheese Historical NBA Network.